Well, thanks so much for taking the time to talk with me. Season two finale is almost here. We only have like two more episodes. Like, what can you tease about this remainder of the season?
All right, so two episodes left. As far as Cam goes and what's happening with him and Simone is that they're pledging right now, and they're in the thick of it.
Mhm.
So by the finale, we see how it all comes to a grand finale, and how it comes to a close, and whether or not they make it. Do they cross the line? Do they have a probate?
Mhm.
We see all those things come to a head by the time we get to the finale.
How has it been how has it been being able to explore more Cam's dynamic with the entire Brixton family from last season?
It's been dope. I mean, I think what was cool about Cam last year was that or the end of the All American run
Mhm.
was that he learned how to have a community here at Brixton. Whereas in All American, he kind of felt like that was a piece that was missing for him.
Mhm.
I remember he said to Spencer in one of the first episodes of the first season that he doesn't have a fairy godfather. He
Mhm.
doesn't, i.e., have resources that are going to be there to kind of like give him a chance to really thrive. And so what's cool is once he gets to Brixton, he not only has that, but he learns how to embrace it. They really teach him and force him how to embrace his community, whether it be Auntie Amara giving him a job as her assistant so that he can pay for school, or if it's Keisha pushing him to pursue music, or Peyton doing the same thing, Damon doing the same thing.
Mhm.
He starts to learn the benefits of having that community that he was seeking back in Crenshaw.
Mhm.
And it's been cool to explore that for him because he's learning about himself. He's learning how he's a helper, how he can advise Damon to go after Simone or advise Keisha to go after her dreams. So by receiving this support, he's also learning how to give it. And that's a really cool thing to explore.
For sure, especially with like you said, with Damon and Kim having those scenes. Like, I feel like even though they were roommates, we finally now getting that dynamic of seeing them actually be roommates and talking with each other, rather y'all just go passing each other, and we don't really see those type of scenes in the show.
Exactly. And if you think about the similarities between those two characters, they're both like macho, headstrong young men. And
Mhm.
sometimes it takes like-minded people to get across to you. And so what we're seeing between their dynamic is that like Cam is one of the only people who can really advise him on how to move in his love life, which is kind of
Mhm.
weird.
Yeah.
At one point he told him how to go after Thea and how to reveal to her how he was really feeling.
Mhm.
And then later in the season, he's telling him to do the same thing for Simone.
Mhm.
Whatever's on your heart, you should be able to follow that. And sometimes it takes somebody who's like-minded and has a similar spirit as yours to really get through to you. And that's been pretty cool for the two of them.
Yeah, even with you and Kim and JR, like the situation of him joining the fraternity and having that, and even with brotherhood, and like he is part of the fraternity, but separating that from friends and being part of Rush and all that stuff. Like, how is it for you just filming that with Sylvester?
Well, me and Sylvie have a great time doing it. It's a lot of fun. It's funny because I did like an Instagram takeover for the All American Homecoming page last year,
Mhm.
and we allow the fans and followers of the page to ask questions. And one of the questions was, "Who do you want to do more scenes with?" And my
Mhm.
answer was Sylvester. And I was just saying it because we had so little scenes last season, and so for this season, one of my largest storylines involved having a lot of scenes with him, and it's been dope. It's been really cool. Once again, it's a situation where like-minded individuals come together, and maybe our characters aren't as like-minded, but he and I are. Being young Black men in this industry, being able to kind of merge our energies and work together has been a really, really cool experience, and also being able to feed off of each other.
Mhm. Especially too.
He's
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Somebody was calling me. I'm sorry, my
Oh, you're
phone got.
good.
I'm just saying, being able to feed off each other's energies. Like he's playing the brother, the line brother, who's the leader of the line, and it's his job to haze us. So he needs our energy there to really like you know be his younger brothers and give him that energy of him being that intimidating figure. And so it's cool to be able to kind of play off of those dynamics when in reality we don't have that dynamic at all.
Mhm. Especially with the, like you said, the fraternity and the rush and all that stuff. Like, Was there something like in the script, like you wasn't sure, like seeing like how it's supposed to be HBCU, how portrayed of the fraternities and sororities, did you ever feel like maybe was it doing justice to it, or you like had mixed emotions when you first read that?
Always have mixed emotions doing Greek life, depicting Greek life,
Mm-hmm.
because so much of it is based off of uh, being being concealed, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's private and it's real delicate. It's a delicate journey for anyone who's ever been through it. And so, as someone who hasn't been through it, I'm always really wary about tackling that. What was cool about this experience was that our showrunners were very specific in that they just wanted to show the process of crossing the line. They didn't want to get too deep into the history or um, go too far with like some of the law infringements that happen with hazing. They didn't want to go into all of that. They just wanted to show these characters seeking out community and finding it with Greek life, which is also a very important aspect of it. But by the time we get to the finale and, we do or don't have a probate,
Mm-hmm.
we start to really tap into what the Greek culture is like and what it feels like to be a part of it. And that for me was one of the most exciting parts of this entire season.
Even too with now Cam getting into music more for the his major and all that, like what will we see more of that in the finale, or will we see him just kind of slowly, fully just kind of putting that in the back burner with the probate and everything right now?
Well, the probate calls sometimes for creative moments, for performative moments. So we may or may not see him using his voice in that. But as far as beyond that, I can't really speak to it, right? As much as I'd love to know, I'm just like the rest of y'all. I get the script. I get it before y'all see it, but I get the script and I find out what's going to happen. But, there's plans to see how Cam grows in the music space uh, at Brixton and beyond. So we'll see.
Mhm. What has been your favorite thing about switching gears with Cam and Keisha, like their relationship, like seeing that evolve? Like sometimes like I'd be sitting there like, okay, Keisha, you a little harsh to Cam, but like at the end of the
Right.
day, then they love each other, but it's like that relationship is just growing, maybe not apart, but growing together and having that relationship with each other.
Yeah, I think it's dope because both characters kind of came into it on some like we're gonna have a situationship, and
Mm-hmm.
it's not going to be a real relationship. And then they start to face adversity while spending time together, and they start to advise each other on how to move. And I think that's the coolest thing about like any relationship is how it organically develops. And so for them, kind of like starting off as flings and then growing into something has been really cool to observe because in season 1, episode 3, Cam was snapping at Keisha,
Yeah.
and she was just trying to offer support when he found out he had an aneurysm. I actually think that was episode 2.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that early on, they were at odds in some ways, but they kind of found that to be a part of their love language. That adversity, they're still young, they're still getting to know themselves, let
Mm-hmm.
alone sharing that experience with someone else. And so what I think is really dope in the depiction of their romance is that like, despite the adversity, despite your bad days, they still learn how to be there for each other. And I
Yeah.
think it's cool. I also think it's fine that she snaps on her man. Like, I mean, a lot of times we see the opposite happening, and the woman is always there in support and there for
Mm-hmm.
their man while he's out there pursuing his dreams. It's the opposite. I mean, she's stressed out. She's trying
Yeah.
to find her way, and he's a part of the reason why she's trying to find that way.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's a part of the reason why he has so much patience and holds so much grace for her, because he's like, all right, I know what you're going through. You're trying to forge a new path for yourself, and that's something he's been through already.
Will we see him like kind of confront Keisha on the part with her Dr. Space, Pacey, well, the doctor, the dancer, the dance instructor, kind of like how she
Mhm.
broke her foot and now like having to step back and then trying to figure out like what to do about the situation?
I'm sorry, I kind of missed your question. Are we
Oh,
going to
I
see
was
more about how?
saying, oh no, I was saying like, are we gonna like see Kim kind of like help Keisha in that way of like understanding with everything going on with her leg now and just having being injured and trying to figure out what's going on with the dance instructor, like her classes and everything like that?
Yeah, I think Keisha now breaking her foot starts to play a role in the overall point that Cam is trying to make to her all season, which is you're burning out. You're going a little too hard. And I mean, like, everybody wants to encourage people to go hard and pursue their dreams, but there's a mental aspect to it that if you push yourself beyond that breaking point, you can break. And I think what we start to see is that, like, Cam has proof that you are now breaking. Your foot is broken. Like, here we go. What are you going to do about this? And he starts to encourage her to really find a solution for the Dr. Pace situation and how she handles it.
Mm-hmm. What has been your favorite relationship to see on the show?
To watch, to witness. I mean, I'm a huge fan of Gabby and JR for sure.
Love them.
I love Heather. She's been nothing but professional and just so fun to work with whenever we get the chance to work with her. So it's cool to see her and my boy Sylvie kind of develop out their on-screen chemistry and just to have more opportunities to work with one another, with both of them, because now I have a connection with both of those characters. And so I get to be like the middleman for the two of them. So my character has fun setting them together and I have fun watching them.
Do you ever like look at like some of the comments, like people like Kim singing and Cam and Keisha's relationship, or like do you ever like see the responses of the fans of how they react to stuff?
Of course. I mean, who's not on social media these days? I'm not one to read too deeply into any comments or concerns because at the end of the day, it's a character, it's not me. But I do like to see how the characters that we're putting out there are landing on audiences. So I check it out every now and then. I see what they got to say. It's funny. I'm just happy that everybody is now in support of Cam because there was a time when he was not the most supported character in the franchise.
No, I still remember that tweet. I forgot. I think it was last season. Somebody tweeted, was like, "Y'all remember when Kim was on All American and now he's on All American Homecoming and we're up here rooting for him?" I was like, "Yeah."
Exactly. And I think that's a cool journey too, because I mean, let's think about it. Like, too often Black men, we get depicted as like aggressive and written off for that surface level persona that you might be introduced to us with, and it's like, get to know us. So what's cool about Cam is that I get to play a character who, once you get to know, you find he has a soft center and he's a good person, regardless of how we were introduced to him. So it's dope.
Yeah, especially when when they were all when the lockdown happened and Kim was just trying to like, stay focused and figure out things. And then after the lockdown of him like kind of breaking down and needing his friends, like I felt like that was something we wasn't used to seeing Kim in a way that really depicted how Kim was feeling. And he leaned on his friends to like get that support, especially the Brinkston family.
Exactly. And that goes back to my former point that I made earlier, which was that he didn't have that before. So he didn't even have a community to be there for. Because when he was playing football, he was only out for himself. He was trying to find a way to get what Spencer got, which is an opportunity, a chance. And so for him, I don't even think he ever looked at his football team as his community. And once he lost that, he certainly didn't have that anymore. And so I think what was cool about that scene was that, it took Coach Marcus letting him know, you don't have to bear this alone. We're all in this. And I think because Cam was the one who received the call, he felt a real responsibility along with Dr. Patterson to protect the students. And I think that sense of purpose throughout the episode for him really drove his emotions by the end of it. Once they found out that they were safe, he realized that, damn, I really care for these people and they really care for me and I care about our safety.
Yes, for sure. Being on a show like this, how much have you grown just from individually wise of your character or just in general of yourself just being on All American Homecoming?
I think for that same reason, I think leaning on a community. I think what was really cool about the entire All American franchise is that I've been a part of it since the beginning and I got to really like make relationships with everyone in the franchise. I wouldn't say everyone, but everyone who's been steady throughout the franchise. And so for me, just starting off, I kind of looked at it as just my job and let me just come in here and do a good job and get out these people way. They're making a show that's not about me. And not to say that I looked at it that shallow, looked at it with that shallow lens, but just looking at it as a gig that I cared a lot about. And then ultimately being embraced by that family and being like, no, come back around. And we're trying to find storylines. We're trying to find scenes for you. Like, we like what you're bringing. That same thing is true for Cam. That's true for me, which is like, once you learn that people hold space for you, you learn how to hold space for other people. And that's what I'm learning throughout this experience. It's just personally like how to hold space for my cast members and recognizing the different levels we are all at with our experience and what kind of experience we all want it to be for ourselves respectfully and or respectively, and how can I respectfully be a part of that for everyone. So it's been cool. It's been a learning experience for sure.
Will we ever see an EP or something from you soon with the music side?
Absolutely. Listen, you give me a date and I'll give you a project. No, I'm kidding. Please don't. Breeze would kill me. But no, absolutely. Now that we're in hiatus, I'm working hard to finish up my EP, to finish up my project, and start my music journey, because I've already gotten a lot of support from people on social media and stuff as far as me singing. And I'm grateful for it. And I definitely want to honor that support with a dope project that I feel really proud of. So been working on that. We'll have that delivered soon, hopefully before you see me again on TV.
Especially to like, what kind of like sound is it? Like, is it hip hop, like hip hop, pop, R&B? Like, is it a different mixture? Or like, what are you like into?
So I'm an R&B head. I'm from Philly. I grew up listening to Boyz II Men, Music Soul Child, Teddy Pendergrass. These are all Philly legends. So I love R&B, but today's music has changed, and it has changed for the better, in my opinion. I definitely miss a lot of the old school ballads and a lot of the soul that was in our music, but I also appreciate the new wave and some of the cool melodies that we have and some of the rap singing verses that you hear. So I feel like my project, I really wanted to be a combination of all of those influences because I do connect with that. And so right now my sound is fairly diverse. Like, you'll hear me on a ballad, but you'll also hear me on some cool stuff, you know what I'm saying? And then some stuff that'll make you dance, some stuff that'll, hopefully make you, I wouldn't say cry, but at least provoke some thought. So it should be a nice mixture of everything by the time it's all said and done.
Could we see Camille be on it? Because I know she does sing too.
So it's funny, I have a lot of space for my female cast to be featured. Maybe not as artists, maybe not as full featured artists, but you'll at least hear them in the background, at least hear them on some of the voicemails. We'll see what they'll do.
Well, thank you so much for talking with me. I'm excited for these next 2 episodes. I wish y'all the best of luck. I'm waiting on renewal. So, oh, that's something too. Like, what, given the season 3, what do you hope to see? We see more of Kim's storyline.
Let's just see how far he goes with this new community with KEK. Hopefully in the finale we see him cross, and by then hopefully he finds a stronger footing with the brotherhood and starts to take more of a leadership role, because that's something we haven't seen from Cam. We've seen the qualities of leadership. We've seen how he advises his friends and the impact that he can have, but we haven't necessarily seen him take that new role. So hopefully we see that develop out in season 3, at least with Cam, and hopefully him and Keisha get back on the love train. You know what I mean?
Please.
It's been painful.
It really has been.